on. Welcome, everybody. We're back in the Sustainability Lounge. Dr. Sam here with you, leading the IMPACT10X United Nations Sustainability Development Goals event. And as part of our lead up to our event, we're having these what we call critical conversations, really for those that are out in the field, out in industry, out in business, that are doing impactful work in relation to sustainability. So it's great to introduce and also welcome Lucy Friend, who is the environmental manager for both Cairns and Mackay airports. And you're here today to have a quick conversation with us. And I really want to hear some of the great work that you're doing in relation to sustainability, in relation to some of your day-to-day activities. So over to you, Lucy.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me. It's really important conversations that you're having, and I'm happy to be part of them.
Thank you.
As you mentioned, I'm the environment manager for both Cairns and Mackay Airport, and I'm based in Cairns. It's the bigger of the two airports, but I do travel between the airport. Airports are often built on those coastal floodplains because they're flat and they're large areas. So both of our airports are in that estuarine environment, which means we've got a lot of mangroves surrounding the airport, which I'm particularly interested in. It also means that we do have a responsibility to help fight against things like the marine debris and waterway pollution and things like that, and to protect biodiversity in that space. So we had our first cleanup on Monday. That was a community cleanup that we ran with the Mackay Regional Council as part of their Clean Up Mackay Region program that they've just started. And we were the first cleanup of 9 that they've got going the next couple of weeks. So we also partnered with some of the local Mackay conservation groups, like the Catchment Care group, the Healthy Waterways group, and the Land Care groups, and just some really dedicated community volunteers as well. We all just went down to the estuary and just picked up as much of the rubbish there as we could and got it sorted and disposed of properly. So it was really good to see the community come together, and we managed to get 640 kilos of rubbish out of the environment in the couple of hours that we met down there.
That's really impressive. 650 kilos in a couple of hours. That's a lot of work. That's amazing.
And every piece that we're taking out is one piece less that the turtles have to deal with when they're trying to dig their nests down there.
Oh.
And then when their babies are hatching, they don't have to climb over broken bottles and taps and things like that as they try to get out of the dunes to get into the water. So we know it's a really important area for turtles nesting. So we know we can do something to help them. We have a similar program up in Cairns. So our cleanups have been going here for about 5 years now, and we work really closely with the Darawuru Aboriginal Corporation to do those cleanups, as well as with the community and with a local group called Parlay for the Oceans. They do work globally, but they do have a branch locally, and we've managed to get several tons of rubbish out of the mangroves here. So we don't have the turtles nesting on the beach here in Cairns, but we've got a lot of really important animals that don't need the fishing line and all the kind of stuff that we've gifted them.
Yeah, that's really impactful. And what are you seeing in relation to, are we seeing a shift in mindset? Do you think we're becoming more global citizens in the fact that we're starting to have that behavior change? What are you seeing?
I do think there's been a positive shift, and that's evident in a few different ways, but even the way that people are behaving when they're purchasing things these days. That it's not that uncommon for people not to want a plastic bag or a plastic straw, and that really does indicate what people care about and that understanding that these things are hurting the planet. And we've all seen the pictures of the turtles with the straws in their nose, and we don't want to see that. So I do think that things are shifting the right way, And the amount of people that we get to these cleanups is really inspiring as well. The last one we did in Cairns was for Clean Up Australia Day in March. We had about 70 volunteers, and it was a hot day, and it was kind of, really humid up here in March, but we had a really good turnout, and everyone just gets right into it and starts picking up all the rubbish they can, and it's really encouraging to see so many people care enough about the cause to do something about it, not just in the way that they're purchasing things, sending that message to suppliers and manufacturers, but also people who are willing to take direct action on pollution that's already in the environment. So I'm very encouraged by that, and I think I'd love to see more companies running cleanups and more volunteers getting involved as well.
Yeah, that's amazing that you're seeing that, and we have an opportunity for the 6 weeks, right, as we launch into this Impact 10X event, where we're bringing in a lot of researchers, scientists, innovators, and entrepreneurs as well across the university, and then teaming them with community entrepreneurs and other social entrepreneurs. So, if you were to give them some advice, some of your top insights or top challenges based on your experience and what you've been seeing, what would you offer them as advice? What would you say? You know what? You've got 6 weeks. Here's my top three to explore and to experiment and to design from.
I think the top of my list would have to be the collaboration piece. So working with people who are already doing a lot in this space and not feeling alone and like we have to start from the start. And of course, within that, the traditional owners and places that we work. So there's a lot of knowledge there and a lot of care for the environment and for country. So I know that when we're planning a lot of our initiatives and what we're doing in that sustainability space, that's usually the first stakeholder that we look to, that we seek guidance from, because not only are the traditional owners here, the Irukandji people that we work with, they're not only skilled land management professionals, they really care about the waterways and the environment and the animals here. So I think collaboration is really important, with traditional owners, with local community groups, with people who have done similar things in other areas, and we're a global network now, so it might not be in that only restricted to that local area, but people are doing things that are really inspiring all over the place. So I think probably the top of my list would be the collaboration piece. Probably after that, I think it's important not to be afraid to take those steps, because it can often be pretty harshly judged sometimes if you try and do the right thing and you don't quite get there, or you don't quite meet everyone's expectations. It can be a little bit scary, getting that backlash. But I think with the right intention and to put a bit of thought into it and check with others to see, is this, are we on the right track, kind of thing. I think most people can understand that we have to start somewhere, and people are just trying their best. So to not be afraid to try and step out a bit and be progressive, even though if we're not 100% sure that's the perfect thing to do. We might never be perfect, but just to start somewhere. A third thing, I think a third thing would maybe be just to reconsider what really matters. So I think a lot of the time we do kind of get caught up in what the trends are, or maybe what matters for other areas or whatever, but to look at what each of us, what our strengths are, and how we can best impact. And I think, for an example, for us, like we live in an area that's got really high biodiversity, so we might put efforts into things that are going to directly impact biodiversity, because we've got the ability to make the most influence in that area because we're right here and it's something that we're close to. So I think maybe reevaluating, where we can make the most impact and what really matters and focus on that as well might be another one.
Great. Those are fantastic three action items, call to action, and guidelines really for us. So my final question for you is to think about if we were to progress in the future for like 10 years from now, what would be your wish? What would be your hope? What would be your call to action?
That is a big one. I think 10 years, so on that time scale, I would really hope that we're in a position where looking after the planet and each other is just business as usual, and it's not something that we, it's. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love doing cleanups and things like that, but things like littering, I would really hope is a thing of the past by then.
Yeah.
And it's just ingrained in what we do, and it's just that it is just business as usual. That yes, there's a general understanding that we do have to look after the planet, and that's part of looking after our own communities, and that it's all in balance. And I think having those discussions should be a thing of the past already. But if they're still needing to be had now, hopefully that by 10 years' time they will have worked, and people will just generally accept that yes, we do need to restore that balance, and that we all have the responsibility to do that, and that simple things like not littering and valuing environmental services just becomes the given, the business as usual that we
I
all
really,
just do.
I really like that. So it actually just becomes part of our daily practice. It's sort of in our DNA now, right? That it just becomes instinctive.
No, I think for a lot of people it already is, but I would love to see that shift so that it's more heavily weighted on the majority.
Yeah, very, very true. And I think that's such an important message is look after the planet as business as usual. I like it. Take care. Take care. Yeah, amazing. So, just as a side note, because I'm fascinated by, the Clean Up Beaches events that you lead, I'm interested to hear when you do those events, um, what sort of cross section of generations are you seeing? Is there a lot of X's and boomers and alphas and Zers? What are you seeing? Who turns up to your events?
It's such a wonderful mix.
Is
It's
it
always a wonderful mix.
cool?
And for Monday, for this week's cleanup, for example, our youngest volunteer she was 7 months old.
Ah!
I didn't I didn't see her picking up any rubbish, but she was definitely there for support.
That's
And
cool.
we had people in their 70s as well. So it was
Wow.
a really good cross section. That's going to be different depending on which day an event is
Mm,
held as well. If it's a weekend, we do generally see, um, a lot more school age kids and things like that
mhm,
being able to get involved. And yeah, if it's on a work day, it might be more people who are retired as well, that might have more time. So we really do see a wonderful mix, and those events are really welcoming of everybody of all ages, and it's really nice to see people interacting from all different age groups and all different backgrounds as well. You don't necessarily need to be an environmental scientist to
right.
make a difference in that space, and often people who are wanting an excuse to get outside and to beaches are beautiful places to spend time, and they're really nice social events as well. So it does attract people from all over the place, and there are a lot of people in our community that do really care about keeping those areas healthy. So yeah, just a big mix really. There's not
Mm,
one particular demographic that we we would target or that we would, discourage or anything like that.
Mm. I think it's amazing, and I think it's great that you get that cross section from 7 months to 70. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
It's a human call to action. So yeah,
there's a lot of strength in diversity always. So
absolutely. Very, very true. Well, we're coming up to our 15 minutes. It's been wonderful having a chat with you, and thank you so much for these critical conversations and really learning about the work that you're doing and the impact that you're having. So, thank you so much for your time. And as I mentioned, we'll be sharing your insights with as a launch into our event for August 30th. So, thank you so much, Lucy. And I'd love to invite you back into the Sustainability Lounge again for some green tea, and maybe also come back to the demo day so that you can actually see what we've come up with.
yeah, that
And
would be great. I'd love
yeah,
to.
good, excellent. Thank you so much, and thank you for sharing all the great work you're doing.
Thank you.